Yes, guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. Hope all of you guys are doing good. I hope you've had a decent Sunday. I went out for a Sunday roast. It was absolutely delightful. Apart from yesterday, Saturday, that wasn't delightful whatsoever. Chelsea go to the Vitality Stadium. We drew 0-0 away at Bournemouth in a match that, to be quite honest, was a must-win game of football. And the side have let us down again for the second time in a week. This has been a bad week to be a Chelsea fan. There is a lot more questions now than what I had at the beginning of the week. Or maybe not more questions, but certainly different questions. The title race for me is over. I know some people might say, but mathematically, Benson, we're still in it. Yet we're not. We're not in it. We can't be. You can't be that inconsistent and win a Premier League. You can't have that little quality on show and win a Premier League. I'm sorry. We are in a race for the top four, and it is going to be very difficult with the way that we keep bouncing in and out of like different identities. I want to break that down a bit in this video today. 1 minute we're the team that can beat absolutely anybody on our day, which is true. But in the other hand, in the same breath, we're the team that can lose or draw or fail to win and show up against anybody as well. So when you merge those two things together, you get Chelsea Football Club right now. But what that is, by definition, is inconsistent. And inconsistent is the opposite of what wins you a Premier League. So in order for us to break this down, I want to think a little bit about where I think we need to prioritize improvement. And I think you can look across the board at recruitment. You can look at sporting directors, owners, manager, players. You can then isolate that into goalkeeper, defender, midfielder, attack. Goalkeeper, let's start with Robert Sanchez. He's been great at the moment. I don't think he could be doing much more to be given his absolute best. So Robert Sanchez, for once in this narrative when it comes to like, how do we solve Chelsea's issues? It's kind of what I want to get to today. The big question is the attack for me. Because defensively, I think that we have kind of been... We've just been waiting to stop seeing defensive rotation because we know that we've actually got, in my opinion, people might disagree with this, I think the Wesley Fofana, Trev Chalobah, Cucurella left back and Gusto or Reece James at right back, I think that's great. We've kept 5 clean sheets in 6 matches this season where Wesley Fofana and Trevor Chalobah have played together. That being said, do I think that can win you a Premier League? I don't think so. I still think we need a top class, probably a bit more experienced centre-back that we can build around. We might need Levi Colwill back in the team. You see where we're going there. The midfield. Moises Caicedo's been out for the last 2 matches. Is it a surprise to me that we have not won either of those games? No. Am I still disappointed? Yes. These kind of ideas can coexist, but when it comes to the midfield quality, I think we've got it. Caicedo and Enzo, when they're together... If you add Reece James into that mix too, fantastic. Lavia can't stay fit. I can't entertain a conversation about him right now. And then we leave with the strikers. And we've got Joao Pedro, who I said on GBFC, when we signed him, I don't know what this guy is. Is he going to be another Nkunku kind of player? Is he an out-and-out striker? Is he a number 10? Club World Cup happens. Maybe I hold my hands up. Maybe he was always a number 9. Now we're 14, 15 games in the season, and we've got questions again. Liam Delap, bought from Ipswich, looks a shell of himself, was injured for 2 months, and now he might have dislocated his shoulder. Fantastic. Marc Guiu, another player, 19 years old, bought from Barcelona. He's just not the guy. He's a good player. I like him. I like all of the players I've just mentioned. I like Delap. I like Marc Guiu, and I like Joao Pedro. But fundamentally, none of them are solving Chelsea's issue right now, which is that we are too incohesive. When it comes to playing against these big teams, Enzo Maresca goes into these matches and it is a game of chess. It's a tactical battle against top managers who have got top ideologies, great players executing those ideologies, and Enzo Maresca, as a tactician, can do very well at getting positive outcomes from those situations. At the moment, we're severely overthinking, and that is an Enzo Maresca problem. You see how within the first sort of 4.5 minutes of this video, I've kind of said everything's the problem, but then also alluded that everything could be the solution. And I think that's where we've got to stop for a second. Because what I want to see Chelsea stop doing right now is Enzo Maresca overthinking oppositions. Because when it comes to looking at the playing personnel, I think we have got a more than good enough set of players to go out there and beat almost anybody in the Premier League. But for whatever reason, when we're playing up against teams that are supposedly not as good as we are, A, I think that's disrespectful to the Premier League, but B, the truth of the matter is we're overthinking it out there on the pitch. Whether that is with the lineups, yesterday I would have said that was an almost perfect lineup. Although I would have said maybe start Joao Pedro, and I hopefully didn't anticipate Cole Palmer being so rusty and off the pace as he was. But realistically, right now, when it comes to these lower teams within the league, you can see Chelsea go back to this like, where do we go? What do we do? Should we go sideways? Should we go around them? Should we go... I don't care how you do it. You just got to do it. If we want to be seen as a serious side that can compete at the very top, you can't just beat Barcelona, get a great draw against 10-men Arsenal, and then capitulate at Ellen Road, which by now doesn't look like, it's an awful result, but like Leeds have had a good week, but I'm not excusing this, right? Bournemouth, what was that yesterday? How can you go to Bournemouth and have that as your response to going to Leeds and getting battered? And I think Enzo Maresca is overthinking it. And as much as maybe that isn't entirely his fault, because, you know, you've got to play with the cards that you're dealt a little bit. You've got no Levi Colwill. We know, and we've said this already last week, the whole rotate everything thing, because we can't play 2 games in 90, that only exists for a certain core of players. So don't keep rotating everything, because you don't need to. And that's where we look like we're not played together before, because that's reality. But in these kind of matches, I think the problem lies with the attack. And when it comes to looking at what was wrong against Bournemouth, it wasn't Wesley Fofana having a bad game. He was good. Wasn't Trevor Chalobah having a bad game. He was good. Wasn't Cucurella having a bad game. He was good. As was Robert Sanchez. How can that attack not score a goal against Bournemouth? Please answer me this question. And this is where we've got to once again go and look and ask the questions of the recruitment. I said it at the start of the season. I felt like I might have got it wrong, and I'll come back with the same comment I made again. Is Joao Pedro an out-and-out striker that is going to lead the line, play 35 games a season, get you 20 goals? Apparently not so far. He's played, 13 matches so far this season, which means we're not having issues keeping him fit, so we can't use that as an excuse. The man's just not putting the ball in the back of the net. He looks rusty. And I don't want to say he looks disinterested, but I'm verging on the realms of suggesting that, to be quite honest. Liam Delap looks like he's running around like a bull in a china shop. He's got the bit between his teeth, but he's not doing anything with anywhere near the level of poise and precision, potency, the 3 Ps, as we saw even at Ipswich last season at Bournemouth. You remember that goal that he scored? He makes it, and then he runs in the box and he finishes it with aplomb, with power. And we don't see that from Liam Delap, and now he's popped his shoulder. So that's a problem. Because the problem is that when Enzo Maresca looks to the bench and he's like, my striker, my number 9, is off injured after half an hour, he brings on a 19-year-old that we loaned to Sunderland at the beginning of the season, then called him back because we didn't know what to do with Nicholas Jackson. Nicholas Jackson, we've loaned him to Bayern Munich. Now, the question, and I've tried to avoid talking about this, but after a 0-0 against Bournemouth yesterday, I've got to pose this within this video. Would Nicholas Jackson be doing worse than any of the men on the thumbnail of this video so far? Marc Guiu, Delap, Joao Pedro. I'm inclined to believe that Chelsea might have actually been better off keeping Jackson. I'm not saying I would have done it. I'm just purely stating something that I think would be a reality. I think if Jackson would have stayed, we would have probably scored a few more goals this season. That's mad, because Jackson wasn't the guy either. So Chelsea got a striking problem here. Emanuel Emegha is a player that's been bought in. He's supposed to join next summer. He's on loan at Strasbourg right now. But he's scored 7 goals this season, which is more than all of our strikers combined at the club. So technically, Chelsea could say to Strasbourg, we're going to need him in January. A couple of weeks ago, there was a big hoo-ha from the Strasbourg fans towards Emanuel Emegha, but it seems as though that's kind of working. It's not really a big problem anymore. And that is a solution that Chelsea have at our disposal. But again, that is at the detriment to the project. Because if Chelsea turn around and say to Strasbourg, look, we got a bit of a striking problem right now. The lap's not firing and he's injured. Joao Pedro, we might have misprofiled again here. And Marc Guiu is 19 and he's just not ready to lead the line for Chelsea. If that's the case, then we are going to really piss off our sister club or cousin or whatever you want to call it. Blueco, Strasbourg. That's going to really wind them up, isn't it? So are they going to be willing to do that? I don't know. But it depends at the end of the day to have to make these tough decisions, right? Chelsea were the team that you bought, and then you've made this multi-club model under Chelsea. So surely Chelsea must be the priority. Very selfish of me as a Chelsea fan. I want Strasbourg to do well, but I have no affinity towards them. I don't really care. Do you know what I mean? And I think the attack needs a solution. We're not going to recall Nicholas Jackson from Bayern Munich because we got a world record loan fee for the geezer for the whole season. So that ship has sailed. We can't look at Jackson now with revisionism and be like, oh, what if we'd have kept Nicholas Jackson? Do you know how crazy that makes a lot of Chelsea fans look? I'm seeing a lot of people say this. And listen, I've entertained the idea of it purely to highlight the problem. The problem is that we don't look as though we have solution in the final third. Yes, we scored 3 goals against Barcelona. Yes, we've played some fantastic football at times this season going forward. But the inconsistency is why right now Chelsea are closer to flipping 15th in the table than we are Arsenal, who are top and they lost yesterday. That's mental. That is absolutely mental. We've played 15 league games. We've not even won half of them. We've won 7. This is a problem. We're in a worse position now than we were last season, which tells me that the progress at the moment, we're getting clouded by, and I saw Nini say this in his video, Catfish FC. We beat Barca. We get a great draw against Arsenal. Yeah, these are great results. But is that actually where we are? Where we are is unable to beat Leeds and unable to score in the most diabolical game of football I've seen in the Premier League for years, away at Bournemouth. And it's crazy to me how right now, 3 players that were on the verge of complete fan meltdown and exodus, Sanchez, Gusto, Cucurella, are 3 of the most consistent players in the team right now. So I understand the need potentially for some patience, right? But patience in the bigger picture right now means what? Accepting another year of only challenging for Champions League places. This is where I find it very difficult. This is where I have to call stuff out. This is where I have to mention. That is not good enough. Chelsea, right now, the Premier League is there for the taking. Arsenal don't want it. 1 point out of 6 for them. Yes, they've been very good. Yes, I've said I think they're the best team in the world right now. They probably still are. But someone's got to chase them down. Man City have done that, or they're doing that. They've got the top goal scorer in the league. Ryan Cherky does look like he could hit some Hazard kind of levels. The man is a genius. City are very much back. Phil Foden looks like a brand new signing almost for City. They're going to be there. Aston Villa are a serious side who have won 9 in 10. Where's that identity from Chelsea? Where's that level of consistency from us? I think the defence was a problem. And I think the solution is there, at least. Yeah, we probably still need some better centre-back, potentially. But Fofana, Chalobah, Cucurella and Gusto or Reece at right-back, that's doing okay defensively right now. And Rob Sanchez, excellent. Can't fault him at the moment. But going forward, who's it going to be? And I can't believe we're sat here again. And, you guys know I've waxed lyrical about Victor Osimhen for years. Absolutely years. You can't tell me, right? Forget the wage structure. Forget any of that conversation. If we'd have bought him, do you think we're having this same conversation? I don't think we are. So at some point or another, something's got to give. And I don't think it's going to be the model that's going to give. So what is the solution? Emanuel Emegha is right there. Can we bring him in January? Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments down below. It's a difficult one because you got Satpayev coming as well next summer. But am I going to sit here watching what we're doing right now and think, yeah, the 17-year-old from Kazakhstan, he's the answer, mate? Oh, it's difficult. This football team, so many questions all the time and not the right answers, unfortunately, for any of us. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on this in the comments down below because right now, Delap's out again. Marc Guiu I like him, but he's not the guy. We know that. He's just not ready. And Joao Pedro is just totally out of form right now. You can't afford to do that at a club like Chelsea. We want to be winning things. Top 4's not a trophy. And I won't celebrate it anymore like it is. I want to be there. We should be there when we spent 1.5 billion quid. But anyway, thoughts in the comments down below. We're going to get back to news and building up for the Champions League game tomorrow. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe to Shootout. Link to that is in the description down below. As always, come on you Blues.